Hey everybody, it is time once again for Rahdo to round up the month, and this time I'll be telling you about all the games Jen and I played in the month of November 2025, although honestly, I am not quite up to it, folks, because both Jen and I are recovering from an incredibly debilitating cold that has knocked us down for a week now. This little caravan is a plague box. If you see us coming, turn the other way. You do not want this, trust me. And so I am definitely under the weather still, but I'm already like a week late for recording this. Plus, I got to get it to James of that board game show so he can edit it all together. James, I'm sorry I'm late, but I'm going to do my best to tell everybody about 22 games in between sips of, what is this stuff? Bouillon. Right. To keep my throat from exploding. Anyway, though. As always, folks, before we get going with the roundup, I just wanted to let everybody know what you might have missed in the month of November if you're not backing the show, or if you are backing the show at patreon.com/Rahdo or as a member and you just somehow missed these. There were a bunch of full playthroughs of games with me and Jen. What were they? Arborea Rewild, Dragonarium, Animal Rescue Team, Wispwood, Pyradice, Tree Society, and Dungeon Legend. All of those are available as exclusives for backers of the show as my way of saying thanks for keeping Rahdo running. In addition to that, we did another Q&A where Jen and I talked about a bunch of stuff, including our most recent adventures on the road, including the story of a 5-hour span of time where we ran afoul of the cops. Independently of that, we ran afoul of a drug dealer, and independent of that, we almost fell off the side of a mountain and had to be saved by a farmer with a tractor. It was crazy. And many other stories beside in the monthly Q&A. Oh, and then we did the Jen Jog, which is Jen's version of this video where we hear about all the games we played from her perspective. She has 2 5 stars this month, folks. 2 of the best games of the year as far as she's concerned. Let me know down in the comments if you can guess which ones they are, because they are not necessarily ones I would have chosen. Actually, I think one. Anyway, doesn't matter. All that stuff is available at patreon.com/Rahdo or here on YouTube as a member. And anyway, enough of that. Self-promotion done. And wish me luck, folks. I should say, you can tell my voice is going. I am probably not going to go into quite as much depth as I normally do, just because I'm going to try and make it to the end. And certainly for games that I'm going to be doing or have already done full run-throughs for, I might just give a couple of sentences for those and really only focus on go into deeper on the games that wouldn't be covered on the channel otherwise. Okay, makes sense? Well, without any further ado, as always, this is a countdown from my least favorite to my most favorite game of the month. I'll have a new game of the month, and let's just go. Starting with number 22, Garden. Now, this is a sweet, charming little, unassuming, abstract, 2-player dueling, chessy type game, very much in the mold of Hive. In fact, I would say if you love Hive, but you have tried to play it with normies, and they've said, this is too many rules, all the different ways all these bugs move and stuff, it's too much. Well, Garden, I would say, is a much better gateway game than Hive ever was. Here's how it works. And by the way, it's on screen thanks to Nox Spell and Zolder, the board game channel. There's going to be a link for their stuff as well as everything I'm talking about today down in the show notes. If you want to go watch this video play out on YouTube, I haven't covered it, so I'm just relying on the kindness of strangers. Thank you, Nox, for putting together a nice looking little video that clearly shows what this is. This is grid warfare. On your turn, you are going to put down one of your little butterflies or dragonflies or snails or the 4th critter. I don't remember what the 4th one was now. But whichever one I put down affects you, my only opponent. It's a 2-player only game. If I put down the dragonfly, you can see how it's a little cross. That means on your turn, whatever you want to place of the 4 different critter types, you have to place in the same row or column as my dragonfly. If I put down the butterfly, which is a diagonal, you got to place diagonally relative to my butterfly. And then, I forget, the snail was the one that you had to completely surround it, and the other one was the one where it had to be far away or vice versa. versa. So anyway, whatever I play affects where you can play, and then whatever you play affects where I can play. And we just take turns back and forth putting out. We each have 8 of these little critters, trying to fill up the grid and trying to get, I forget, it's either 3 or 4 in a row. I think it's 3, you get a certain number of points, but if you can get 4 in a row or in a column, you can get huge points, and that's going to win you the game. And so it's just a quick little battle of wits. Super easy to teach. And again, not really for me. I'm not looking for a battle of any sort, quite frankly. I'm very much a live and let live player. So me trying to basically freeze you into a corner where you can't play anything good through smart play is not my idea of a good time. But I cannot deny that Garden is an incredibly clever, fast little design with a fair bit of variability, because you don't have to have it as a pure grid like what you're seeing on screen. You can, do different layouts for the board and all of that. Very, very nice. This is one Jen picked up at Essen Spiel. I don't think I would have, but she liked the look of it, and it was a lovely little game. If I had any use for a more gateway version of Hive, this is directly where I'd go, to number 22, Garden. Then we go on to number 21, Propeller Islands. This is the latest game from design superstar Stan Kardonsky. I'm a huge fan of Stan's. I have pretty much enjoyed every one of his games I've played so far. I think there's only 2 I haven't played, Rurik and one other one that had a fair bit of, direct area controlled players attacking each other. But all of his Euro-y type stuff, I've tried them all. I've covered them all on the channel, so I had to give Propeller Islands a try. This is, I think, is this the first time he's worked with Queen Games? I'm not quite sure. But this, which, by the way, is being demonstrated by Brett Spielbox, another YouTube channel. Thank you, Brett Spielbox, for having some video of the game. This is a remake or a re-implementation of another one of his earlier designs, Old West Empresario, which I was a big fan of. The crux is, it's entwined drafting. I've got a bunch of tiles in my little island, used to be an Old West town in Old West Empresario, that have a die number on them. And if I've got like a few tiles that have a 3 and one of the tiles has a 4, chances are I want to draft a 3 die, because I'll get to activate all my 3 buildings. But maybe I need to activate my 4 building or whatever it is. But whenever I grab a die, I am also grabbing an associated tile that I'm going to add to my island. Or actually, in the case of this game, whenever I grab a die, because they're all laid out on the main board, I have 3 different tiles to pick from. Because that's the big change between this and Old West Empresario. Old West Empresario, they were 4-sided tiles. Now they are hexes, 6-sided tiles. And otherwise, a lot of the gameplay is the same. So even though I haven't covered it, if you go watch my old West Empresario run through, you'll get kind of that idea of what it's like. And yeah. Like I said, I was a big fan of Old West Empresario. I believe I've kept it through several big culls over the years. Propeller Islands, though, didn't quite do it for me. Even though it's the same really good entwined drafting and engine building gameplay, I think my biggest issue with it is they switched from 4-sided to 6-sided tiles. I ran into this problem with the remake of Glenmore. Glenmore 2 did the same thing. Glenmore is one of the greatest tile line games of all time, one of my all-time faves in my top 50 games. But Glenmore 2 turned the harsh, challenging restriction of only 4 sides on each tile. So it's very, very tricky to be able to build up in an ideal way, because you just don't have many options. When you go to a 6-sided hex, suddenly your options balloon and explode. You have so much more flexibility. And for some people, that's probably an improvement, because it doesn't put you through the ringer as much. But I love being put through a ringer, which is why, Propeller, it was nice enough. It's certainly an excellent gateway to dice drafting and tile laying and engine building, because it does all 3 of these things very well. It's got a really lovely presentation with anthropomorphized animals on, fantastical islands, making gadgets and gizmos. But again, the gameplay is a bit too gateway-ish now, a bit too lightweight, whereas Old West Empresario really made you work quite a bit harder. So I could certainly see it having an audience. I'm just not that audience, which is why Propeller Islands is number 22 of the month. Then we go on, 21 of the month. Then we go to number 20, Tropicalia. This is Another very, very lightweight game. Again, too lightweight, too gateway-ish for me and Jen, which is why it comes in at the top end of the list, which is too bad, because this game has some really great stuff going on. Unfortunately, as far as I can tell, there is no video of this anywhere on the internet, so I'm sure that James is just throwing some images up so you can get an idea of what the game looks like. It is, and Jen's meanwhile hacking up a lung just off camera in case you could hear that. I was just saying, it is a worker placement game. We've got these 4 workers that we place on the outer edge of the board. And the board is made up of randomly created by a grid of action tiles. But we don't put our workers directly on the worker placement spots. We put them on the outer edges. And we take turns. I put one, then you put one, then I put one, then you put one. Or I put one, then Bob put one, then Sally puts one. And then we keep on going around until everybody's deployed all their workers on the outskirts of this randomly generated grid of actions. Then, again, in turn order, we start activating those workers and move them inwards. If I put it in this row, I can grab any of the unclaimed worker placement spots in that row or that column or whatever it is. And so if I go for a row, you might look at that and see, oh, you're going. You might think I'm going for the market because we both really value getting more baskets or something like that. And then you figure, well, okay, I could go for that market too if I come in on its column. But how is it going to be resolved in turn order? Will you be able to get there before me? It's a simple system, but it's brilliant. I mean, it's so clever. It's kind of similar to Targi, but without the what do you call it? The triangulation. But it's an incredibly tension-filled game because you put your workers out hoping they're going to get to do what you want to do with no guarantees at all. But if you're paying attention to your opponent, you can probably guess, oh, they're probably going for that that cache of resources over there. And if they go first, then that means they're leaving this one open for me. So I could probably go for this other one knowing if I can guess what order I think I can get stuff. The second half of the game, when you actually get out there, there is where the game doesn't really live up to its potential for me and Jen because it's a really simple, again, gateway style game. You're either picking up different fruits, and storing them on your board, or you're using those to, you're selling them at markets to score points, or you're going to other buildings where you can get special rule-breaking equipment. You're basically doing one of those 3 things. And not that there's anything wrong with that. But again, it's just super-duper lightweight. The worker placement is really clever. And I should warn you, could be potentially considered a little cutthroat, a bit much more tension-filled than traditional worker placement, and it's really sharp. Like I said, if you're a fan of Targi, you owe it to yourself to check this out. And again, Targi made my top 100 games of all time because it's kind of similar, but still, this is very unique. But it's just that what we're doing with this really cool worker placement system is really simple and a little bit too lightweight for me and Jen. And that's what keeps Tropicalia. Again, if I had more use for gateways, oh my gosh, this would be a game I would totally bust out to turn people into board game fans. But for me and Jen, it's a bit too lightweight, although it's got great presentation and all the rest of it. And man, I would love to see somebody else pick up this mechanism and apply it to a heavier, crunchier game. But as it is, Tropicalia is number 20. By the way, in case you're wondering what's out the window over there, can't really see much. Let me adjust my exposure on my camera. Boop. That's what's right outside our window. If we are stuck, Jen and I are figuring we're just going to hunker down here for maybe upwards of a week until we can finally recover. Our original plan was to keep driving west and go over to Portugal and spend our last week on the road there. But now we're thinking we're just going to spend our last week with this as our view. Amazing sunrises and sunset, seeing the birds and all of that just right outside our window.
For some dolphins.
We're looking for dolphins. We've heard tell that you can see pods of dolphins swimming by here. It's a nice little spot just outside of Torox or something like that.
And
in Spain.
In either direction, 5 minutes.
Right. Yeah, shops are close by. So yeah, don't worry about us. I mean, I may not be able to talk after this, but I've still got plenty to enjoy. I mean, just look at it one more time. This is how we're spending our last week. Oh my gosh, you can tell the sunset is going to be another beautiful sunset tonight. Okay, number 19 is Valencia. Now, this is a Stefan Feld game. What is a Stefan Feld game doing rated so low on my list? He's my favorite designer of all time. Well, Here's the deal. This is interesting, and it's actually a remake of an earlier Steffenfeld game called Strasbourg. Strasbourg was unique in that it was the only Steffenfeld game in existence that required at least 3 players, that you could not play as a 2-player game. I covered it many, many years ago. People made their own homebrew variants to turn it into a 2-player game, but it was never officially a 2-player game. Well, it has been republished, rethemed. It's no longer Strasbourg. Now it's Valencia, another wonderful city. Both of which Jen and I have been to in real life, both of which Jen and I have been to on this very trip through Europe. Anyway, though, but it's still the same core gameplay that I demonstrated all those years ago at Strasbourg. But Herfeld has come up with a very, very good system to make it work really sharply for 2 players. I think at this point you wouldn't really say that Valencia suffers as a 2-player experience. But what is it? It's an auction within auction within auction within auction within auction game. We're going to play through, if I recall correctly, 5 rounds. And in each round, oh, and by the way, thank you to Click-a-Nobbin, the channel. They've got some video footage of it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have anything to show today because I haven't filmed it yet. It is a game where we're going to play, I believe, in 5 rounds. And each round, if I recall correctly, there are going to be 7 auctions. But the way it works is that we have a deck of 15 cards that are numbered 1 to 6. And we draw, at the beginning of each of these rounds, of these 5 rounds, we draw as many cards as we want. But however many cards we draw, those are the cards we're going to use in all of the, whatever it is, half a dozen auctions that we have to go through. And we basically make simultaneous secret bids. I decide to draw 3 cards. I get a 1, a 3, and a 6, and I better stop, because if I burn through all my cards in the first half of the game, I've got no cards in the second half, and my opponent's going to get whatever they want for free, practically. So you got to be careful. You got to be judicious. This is the core of the game. A very, very smart system of hand management, deck management. But anyway, so I draw a 1, a 3, and a 6. And, this round, like I said, there's going to be, again, a half a dozen different auctions. I can't win them all. So I need to pick, okay, I know I need to win that one, and I'd really like to win that one. So I'll bid 6 on this one, and I'll combine the 1 and the 3 so I can bid 4 on the others. And so all you, my opponent, know is I drew 3 cards, and I've made 2 bids. Bid piles. I've got a 1-card bid pile, that's my 6. I've got a 2-card bid pile, that's my 4 and my 1. But heck, maybe my 1 card is a 1 and the other is a 6 and the 4 and for a 10, because there's no way I'm going to lose if I bid 10 on something. As an example. And by the way, I should say, in a 2-player game, there is a neutral player who will also make bids at only certain points, not on all the auctions, but just on some of the auctions. So there is a good feel of a multiplayer game. Anyway, though, then we just go every round. Every round's going to be a different order, and I can see, okay, I really care about the 3rd and the 5th auction. Those are the ones I've got to win. So everybody on the 1st and 2nd auction, I just pass. I don't bid at all. And Jen's like, oh, she's going through hers and she won that. I didn't even think I was going to win this one, but you didn't bid on it? Okay, well, heck, I'll bid because I've got this 1 over here. I wasn't planning on anything. I just kept 1 around just in case maybe I could get an easy win, and boom, you get a win. Now, here's the interesting thing. If you bid on something, but you get outbid, you take your little bundle of cards, if it's a single or multiples or whatever, one of those cards that you failed to win anything with gets to go back into your original draw pile, so you'll be able to use it again late in the game when you might be otherwise running out of cards. Sometimes there will be situations now where, you know what, I'm bidding on this. I don't even care about winning. I'm bidding knowing I'm going to lose just so I can reclaim this card and use it at the end of the game because I don't need it right now. I know I'm going to need it at the end of the game, and I wanted you to beat me so I could throw it back into my deck. So there's a lot of really cool, fun stuff, especially because not only do these cards, are they numbered 1 through 6? That was the rules for the original Strasbourg, but now with Valencia, they've got cool special powers on them as well that let you manipulate the bid and break the rules of the game and all kinds of really fun stuff that really elevates the game. Valencia is so much better than Strasbourg ever was, not only because now it can play with an official 2-player rule set, but because of all those cool extra powers on the cards. And I love it for that. So anyway, you win or you lose, and and you're trying to win these auctions to do all the normal feldy stuff. There's area majorities, getting your workers out onto the board that's randomly generated. That's another cool twist. The board is randomly generated, so it's going to be a different layout every time, unlike a fixed layout, like Strasbourg always was. So sometimes the things you value might be in tougher spots to get, or maybe easier than you expected from game to game. But anyway, you're trying to grab territory. You're trying to get in good with merchant guilds. You're trying to get resources that you can sell so that you can build buildings. You're trying to score victory points in a lot of different ways by winning the right auctions at the right time and knowing when to lose and reclaim those cards and knowing when to use those special powers. So this all sounds great, right? Why then does Valencia come in at number 19? Well, okay, I mentioned I do think that the two-player rules are good in that on about 2/3 of the auctions, this neutral player bids and just basically draws cards from another deck on a pre-control. So you have a somewhat idea of what they're going to do. But I wish they drew first. I don't really enjoy losing due to random luck. If it had been me, if I'd been working with Mr. Feld, I would have suggested that, hey, when we get to those where the neutral player is going to compete, let's just, everybody get to see what they're bidding so we just know that there's the floor, and I don't want to be beaten by random luck. I find that less satisfying than saying, oh, look, I can strategize around what I know they're going to do, and I can guess what Jen is going to do as I'm building my hand. I think that would have been much, much better. And two, there's a lot of auctions in this game, and man, it gets pretty cutthroat. I mean, auctions can implicitly be cutthroat, but there are so many in this game, and sometimes, winning the right auction at the right time can make or break you so hard. And and I could identify when that was true for Jen, and I could make sure that she would lose no matter what. And it was maybe a little bit more as a two-player game. I don't think this would matter as a higher player count, which of course is what Strasbourg originally was. But as a two-player game, between the unpredictability of the neutral player, which again, I just think it should have been prescribed. You can see, it's deterministic. I know what they're going to do, and I take that into account when I do my own bid. And the fact that with only two players, it can be a little cutthroat trying to win, not because I care about winning this thing, but I'm just invested in you losing. Made it just not as good a fit for us as so many other Feld games. I think it works great. And at a higher player count, oh my gosh, I've played Strasbourg at a higher player count, and it's amazing. And I suspect this is even better because of those cool special powers, the randomly generated board, etc. But it's not a Feld for me and Jen, so Valencia comes in at number 19. And then we go on to number 18, Pondscape. Okay, and first of all, thanks to Board Game James, who has already put out a video of this, even though it came out at Essen Spiel. He got one up lickety-split, so I can show you what this looks like. He's got a great channel, folks. I suggest check him out. Check out everybody, all the channels I'm talking about today. There's links down in the show notes. But anyway, this is a game where we are trying to make the best swamp for a bunch of really good-looking frogs. Man, the art on this game is freaking phenomenal. And this is one of those, hey, we're each trying to build a tight grid of cards. I think in this game, it's a 5x4, so it's a little bit bigger than like Castle Combo or something like that. There's only a 3x3 or a 4x4 or something like Tiny Towns. But even still, it's tight enough to be restrictive. And the crux of the game is, on your turn, you're going to see frogs. There's two types of cards, frogs and environments, that you're trying to throw into your swamp as well. You can see the three that are out there. You're going to grab one for yourself, add it to your hand of cards you already have, and then play a card from your hand. And unlike a lot of these games where you have to expand from stuff you've already built, you can put it anywhere you want in your grid. So you can already be putting stuff, okay, I know I'm going to be putting a lot of those red frogs up in the top right corner. I'll put this first one up there, and I'm going to leave space up there for the rest of them, because of course you want to get the contiguous groups of the same types of frogs. Although they all have, there's like a dozen different types of frogs, each of them with different scoring potential, plus one type of frog. Every instance of that frog is a different type of scoring thing. So there's like 24 different means of scoring based on the frogs you end up drafting and where you place them and how well you place them. And it's a very puzzly game, and it does a really good job of that. Now, the interesting thing is, whichever one of the three frogs I grabbed, It came from the 0, 1, or 2 slot. And that says how far the jumping frog is going to move around this line of food, of bugs, mosquitoes and beetles and whatnot. Because when I grab a card, or I should say, every card is a triple use card. This is a multi-use card game, folks, which is what makes it stand out from the crowd. You can do 3 things with them. You can play them out there as the frog, so that you can hopefully get them, correctly in the right place, or keeping away from the right types of frogs, or next to the right types of frogs, or in the right types of areas, or whatever it is based on their scoring thing. You can play it face up as a frog. You can instead flip it, play it face down, and then it becomes just water. And the thing is, these are all 2-sided cards. Every one of these cards, it's a different frog with different attributes around it. Usually different, bonuses. Hey, if I play this frog, I get to draw some more cards. Or if I play this frog, it adds more food, more bugs to my swamp, which could be a source of points. Or instead, if I flip the card over, I can see from the front side what's on the other side. And the fronts and the backs of all these cards are unique. So when I'm trying to figure this out, it's not like most games where, you can play it face down as terrain. In most games, it's always going to be the exact same thing. Here, no. I might be grabbing that card because I care about what's on the other side of it, because I'm going to do it face down because it's got the right types of bugs that I'm going to score a lot of points on. Or the third thing you can do with these is you can tuck them under the food cards. Remember I said there's those 5 food cards that represent the mosquitoes and the beetles and the dragonflies that the frogs eat? The more cards you tuck under the mosquito, the more valuable mosquitoes that are in your swamp are going to be. So if you can get a lot of cards, whether they're frog cards or terrain cards or flipped over water cards, that have a lot of mosquitoes, and I make mosquitoes worth 5 points, that might win me the game. But that means I've got to tuck a bunch of cards on the mosquito. But then I mentioned when I draft a card, it's a 0, 1, or 2, right? That says the hopping frog moves 0, 1, or 2 steps around the communal bug zone. Say it moves 2 steps, wherever it lands, and it lands next to the beetle and the mosquito. That means if I want to turn a card into a food multiplier, I can only upgrade the mosquito or the beetle. So that's the tricky thing. Like I said, I could win the game by having 5-point mosquitoes and get a lot of mosquitoes in my swamp. Who cares about scoring points off the frogs or whatever? But I can only pump up the mosquito when that leaping frog is on the mosquitoes. And so that means I've got to make it move 2 steps, but that means I got to draft a card that I don't want. But you know what? Maybe I won't play it, because remember, I've got other cards in my hand. Maybe I'm only drafting this card to make the thing move so that I can tuck and make my mosquitoes worth more, or whatever it might be. So, long story short, there's a lot more going on than first meets the eye. And actually, I would say to a certain extent, there's more going on with this game than a lot of similar style games like, Castle Combo or Straight World Above the Clouds or Tiny Towns or whatnot, where you're trying to do these, tight little spaces. And I got to say, it works well, and Jen and I very much enjoyed it. Now, Jen, she knocked it down a little bit because, if anything, the game is maybe overloaded with the number of ways frogs can score in this game. And it's all iconographically referenced, so it takes a while to get your head around that. But I think for me, my biggest problem is it is a bigger grid than normal. And like I said, I love it when a game really constrains me, really puts me in a straitjacket. This game doesn't do it that much. It lets you build a much bigger area that is going to be much easier to fill. The game was definitely still challenging. It was a fun puzzle. But if anything, and it's not like the puzzle wasn't interesting, or, there were deep decisions to make, but the game just didn't really make me compromise very much. I could pretty much achieve what I wanted to do. And so it's for that reason that I thought it was just a little bit too easy going, which is why Pondscape, as good as it is, and is, oh my gosh, so good looking. Again, go check out Board Game James's video so you can see a lot more of it close up. Or go look at pictures of it on Board Game Geek. But still, it just didn't quite land as strongly for me as some other games in this genre, so it comes in at number 18. And then I will move on to number 17, Tenby. Now, this was a hot game at Essen Spiel. I think it sold out very quickly, and I was lucky to be able to pick up a copy on the last day. But the only way I could was to take one of the floor demo copies that people had been playing with for the entire 4 days of Essen Spiel. But I wanted to try it so much because I'd heard so many good things about it from so many people. And so the good folks at Board and Dice we're happy to oblige. Well, I haven't done a run-through for it yet. Paul Grogan of Gaming Rules has done one, so that's what his video is on screen. Thank you, Paul. There's a link down in the show notes. Go check it out. But anyway, what is this game? Well, we are drafting cards to build up the Welsh town of Tenby, and the cards come in a few different types. There are buildings, there are waterfront wharfs, there are connectors, that like have both a waterfront and a building on them. And every round, we are going to get the opportunity, usually, to draft 2 or 3, or we can get these life buoys that give us special game-breaking powers. But how do we know what we're going to draft? Well, this game uses the, what's it called? The King Domino draft approach, where the more valuable a card you take, the more you are likely to go later in turn order in a future round, which means you're not going to get as good. If you try to get usually if you try to grab the best thing this round, chances are you will not get first dibs on the next round, and you probably won't get the best thing you want next round, but maybe you will if you get lucky. So each round has 2 steps. First of all, we draft for the cards that sell us what types of cards we can draft. And then once everybody's got one of those, and we've determined the order, then of all there's tons of cards out on the display that we can grab. All these different types of buildings and whatnot, and special landmarks from Tenby that give us objective scoring and all kinds of things. We then follow the order, follow the rules, follow the instructions of the card we drafted that says, oh, I get to get 2 blue cards and a red card. Or I'm only going to get a red card, but I get 5 buoys, or whatever it might be. And then we take our turns drafting all our stuff. And then once we've got whatever we got this round, and we might not have gotten what we wanted, because we basically went through 2 rounds of drafting. The first round of drafting to figure out what we could get, and then the second round of drafting trying to get what we want. If we can even get what we want from the first round of drafting. And then we just try to puzzle together our different streets. We can be working on multiple streets of Tenby at once. If I ended up getting a card that I don't particularly like and it doesn't fit on my street, it doesn't work because I'm trying to get a street with a lot of trash cans or street lamps or purple flower boxes or whatever it might be. I'm trying to make a lot of connections between wharfs and buildings, or, there's lots of different objectives. There's tons of objectives. And okay, that's what I'm trying to do in this street. This card I got isn't going to help. Okay, well, I'll just make it a new street. And now I've got a new objective I'm trying to pursue for this new street. And, by the end of the game, you might be working on 3 or 4 streets. Or you might focus really like a laser on making, 1 or 2 super streets, or even 1 super street and 1 weak street for the stuff you don't like. A lot of different ways you can go. It's a clever game. I can see why it's so popular. It's very, very sharp, and it works very, very well. I enjoyed it. I would happily play it again. I don't know. It's coming in at number 17 on the list, so there's a bunch of games I liked more this month. But as a large reflection of fact, I played 22 games, and I got a lot of games from Essen Spiel. So, this is still a very worthy game. Why didn't it rank higher? I think maybe because, there's a lot of luck of the draw. Because if you just don't like what's out there, you could try to wipe things, you could draw a blind, you could do various things. But I felt like I didn't have as much control as I would have liked. I was in no way, shape, or form did I feel the game was unfair. I feel like it probably balances out over the course of the game that, there's going to be plenty of times you're like, okay, I just cannot seem to find what I want. And that's going to happen to other players too. But, I just didn't. I didn't enjoy myself as much as I thought. Don't get me wrong, I did enjoy myself. This is a good, solid game. This is a solid high 7, low 8. Which is a very high ranking. This is a 3.5 out of 5 stars. But this was an amazing month with a lot of really great games. So it's only just because there was a lot of stuff that resonated with me even more that Tenby comes in at number 17 of the month. Then we go on to number 16 of the month, Keyside. This is the latest from designer Richard Breeze in the Kingdom series. This game, he has actually teamed up with co-designer Dave Turchi. I think this is the first time the two of them have worked together, I think. And this is maybe the deepest, richest, heaviest Kingdom game that Richard Breeze has ever done. And I've played almost all the games in this series. And here's the deal, folks. I think it's maybe a little bit too deep for me and Jen. We thought it was great. It can also be kind of cutthroat if you're really smart. And kind of reminds me of Bora Bora, in the way Sevenfeld's Bora Bora could be cutthroat, with the way I could activate actions that could mess up my opponent, and I didn't have to do it. I just do because, hey, if all things being equal, I should take the move that messes you up while helping me. There's a lot of that in the game. And I'm not going to go into depth there now because I am going to be doing a run-through for it. The backers of my show, the people who keep Rahdo running, they have voted, and they want me to see me doing a run-through. So while you're looking right now at a run-through by Paul Grogan of Gaming Rules, in December, you'll see me do a run-through, and I'll go into more depth there about why it's maybe a little bit too deep. And it's also maybe a little bit too cutthroat for Jen's and my taste. So Keyside... it's a brilliant design. Oh my gosh, but maybe just a bit too much for me and Jen at number 16. Then we go on to number 15, Borealis. And there's a lovely video from Before You Play. Monique and David did a great job showing it off. And what is this game? We are Arctic scientists trying to observe the creatures of the Arctic in their natural environment. And it's a fairly abstract game. Even though I led with the theme, this is a pretty abstract game, but it's a beautiful game. It's a charming game, and oh my gosh, is this a crunchy, puzzly little filler of a game, because it's also incredibly fast. How does it work? Well, on my turn, I've got all my different researchers, which come in 3 colors. I think it was like pink, green, and yellow, maybe? I don't remember. You can see on screen what they were. And they're all arrayed in different sites where they could see the animals. And I'm going to play a card, whether it's polar bears or Arctic foxes or the puffins or whatever. I'm going to play them to one of the columns. But say if I want to play this Arctic fox card, and it says, it needs to be, it's got a green and a pink scientist on it, right? That means I can only play it in a location where there's a pink and a green scientist. And that means if I want to play this card, I need to be moving my scientists around because I want to play it over in the 3rd column, and because that's the place. Because if I play an Arctic fox in a given column, I want to play tons of Arctic foxes because the score compounds. The more animals of a given of the similar of matching types you can get in a given column, your scores can balloon, explode. So if I've already played some Arctic foxes in column 3, I want to put this in column 3, the one that's in my hand, or the one that I drafted for, or whatever. But there needs to be a pink and a green scientist, and there's not one there. So I'm going to wait until they show up. But here's the deal. How can I do that? Well, if I play this polar bear in column 2, that says, hey, it needs 2 green scientists and a yellow scientist. And there's 2 green scientists and a yellow scientist in column 2. Okay, I'm going to play the polar bear there. Great. Okay, fine. Now here's the deal. It talks about the scientists that need to be there, but it says when the polar bear moves in, those scientists have to move either right or left. And I put that polar bear there because it's going to make a green scientist. 1 green scientist move left, 1 goes to the right. And the one that went to the right is now in position. So next turn, I can play that Arctic fox because now there's a green scientist in location 3. And meanwhile, a different green scientist went to location 1. So did a yellow scientist or whatever. Hopefully, those work to be able to play something later on that I want to play in column 1. That's the crux of the puzzle. Playing cards now to move these scientists in position so I can play cards later that I want to play. But that's not all. Not only do I concern myself with the types of animals I'm trying to get in matching columns, not only do I concern myself with being able to do it by getting the scientists into the right place at the right time, but each card also has a couple of vehicles on it. And in each column, it's showing that, the next card I play into column 3, I want it to be either a blimp or a sled, or a truck or a sled or whatever. And so that means I want to play an animal into column 3 that has a blimp or sled on it. And it just so happens the Arctic fox that I want to play also has a blimp. So that means I'll be able to move my travel flag on that space too. That's why I was so desperate to find a way to put that green scientist into column 3 so that I could play this perfect fox that becomes my 3rd fox, and it moves my travel flag as well. To put that bear into column 2 was a waste. I threw that bear away. I ended up moving some other scientists that might be in a terrible position now, but I did it all so I could get that fox into position. And those are the decisions you're making non-stop throughout this game. But again, it's a fast game. It is over quick. So you're constantly struggling. And it's great. I liked it quite a bit. Jen loved it. And I'd happily play it any time. I think my only real complaint about it, I can't fault the gameplay. Gameplay is really great. It kind of reminds me of another game I covered years ago on the channel that I still keep to this day, Sentient, which was another thing about playing things in columns. It was about making equations because we were programmers instead of scientists observing stuff. My only real complaint about it, I think that keeps this from making it into my top 10 this month, instead it's a top 15 is, I said right up front, it's a pretty abstract game. Yes, I just spent all this time talking about theme, and you can try to make the theme come to life, but why am I moving around in the Arctic in blimps and reindeer sleds? It's an abstract game, and the theme doesn't come through as much as I personally like. Theme is very, very important to me. So I enjoyed the puzzle immensely. And if I were more of an abstract gamer, this would rank very high. It's probably why Jen liked it more than me, because Jen loves abstract games. But me, I don't. So Borealis, the theme didn't quite come through as strongly for me, which is why it comes in, oh my goodness, at number 15. Okay. Then we move on to number 14, Animal Rescue Team. Now, this is a remake of a game I covered many, many years ago called Thunderbirds from designer Matt Leacock, the designer of Pandemic. And this is him. Both Animal Rescue Team, which, by the way, he had a co-designer on. I'm sorry, co-design. I cannot remember your name, but your name is on screen right now because James does an amazing job filling all the blanks for me as he has this together. My apologies for people who are listening to this rather than watching, because, of course, you can listen as a podcast to my roundups for free every month if you would like to hear this on the road rather than watch. But regardless, that's neither here nor there. Go to patreon.com and subscribe to my free podcast if you'd like to listen to these roundups. But anyway, sorry. This is a remake of Thunderbirds. With a new theme that Jen and I loved, basically doing animal rescues. And actually, all the animal rescues you do in this game are based on real-world animal rescue stories that have happened, which gives it a real air of authenticity. But both it and Thunderbirds, these are pandemic-inspired games where you have a certain number of action points of stuff you can do every turn, and you split those action points, moving from location to location, resolving dilemmas at different locations, while also trying to achieve higher level goals. There's lots of fires to fight. There's lots of spinning plates to keep spinning as we're running around dealing with all these short-term problems while also trying to achieve our long-term goals, working cooperatively. Here, each player is a different specialist, whether you're a veterinarian or a climber or a fire specialist or a water specialist or an animal behavioralist or whatever. So you've all got special powers, but we're all trying to do the same thing. Move from location to location, bring the correct tools and specialists, and that includes our fellow players, to the right place at the right time so we can up our chances of successfully rescuing these animals. Because there might be a horse in trouble in a burning barn. So of course I want to bring the fire specialist, I want to bring the animal behavioralist, I want to bring the veterinarian. I'm the veterinarian, so I've got to get myself. But I also need, ropes or whatever it might be. And if I have a certain type of vehicle, because we move around with vehicles, there's trucks and vans and trailers and boats and a motorcycle. And so I've got to get the right vehicle, the right equipment, and the right people to the right place, because when we all get there, I can spend my action points trying to roll dice to save the animals. And the more the right equipment I have, the more likely my dice rolls are to succeed. And that was how Thunderbirds worked, and that's how this game works. And it is a huge puzzle, a logistics puzzle of trying to get the right people, including myself, to the right place at the right time, roll dice, save animals, before those animals run out of time, because they are on a ticking conveyor belt, a ticking timer, a conveyor belt. If we can't rescue them before they come off the conveyor belt, they lose. But there's also a timer as the game moves forward, and if we haven't solved the big events that we need to, like we need to round up funding for the local animal shelters or whatever it might be, if we don't hit those things in time, we lose. So every round it's a puzzle of, right, if I drive over there with a motorcycle, because the motorcycle goes fastest, that's my first action. Then I load myself and the veterinarian up and the ropes into the van, which is a free action, and then I can get all of us over to that horse I was talking about. And now for my third and final action, I'll roll the dice. And if I fail, you know what? I'll roll the dice. I'll stay here. But maybe if I fail and I don't quite make it on Jen's turn, she can grab the other equipment that we didn't have, or she can get the behavioralist, or she's the behavioralist. And we didn't expect I was going to succeed, but I try. My third, I try and I fail. But now the secret sauce, Jen will jump on the motorcycle that I left behind, drive halfway across the board, drop a tool off, drive the rest of the way, and finish over next to me. And now she rolls, but she was the extra thing we needed. So it's all about getting, and puzzling out what's the most efficient way to get things in the right place at the right time. And it's brilliant. Thunderbirds was brilliant. This is brilliant. Jen and I both love the theme. We enjoy the gameplay. It's a cooperative game Jen enjoys. That's a rarity. So it's something really special, just like Thunderbirds was. So why doesn't it come in higher? Because at the end of the day, it is very much a pick up and deliver game. And, we can enjoy a pick up and deliver game, a little bit of it, but, in the same way that, there have been some spin-offs of Pandemic that maybe have a little bit more pick up and deliver in it than we care for. This game is all about pick up and deliver. So while it is a brilliant puzzle and we did enjoy it, you really have to be a pick up and deliver fan for this game to really resonate with you. My wife, who is listening, she actually has something more to say, I think.
Oh, and then
you have to shout, though, because the mic's all the way over here.
You tell them what I say.
All right, you're not going to be able to hear her, so what are you saying, Honey Pie?
I'm just saying added to the complication of not having the right vehicle.
Adding to the complication is not having the right vehicle, yeah?
And then you also don't have the right equipment and the right...
Or, yeah.
So it's not just pick up and deliver, you have to also have the...
Yeah, that's the puzzle, yeah. Of getting the right stuff in the right place, because we left the oxygen supply tanks down in the blower because we didn't think oh crap, and now somebody's got to go all the way down there and get it and drive back. And so it's a lot of logistical challenging stuff of moving around, and moving around on a board is really just not, Jensen, my favorite thing to do in a game. We like it in Pandemic because it's a real puzzle of multi-use cards. What cards do we sacrifice to make it over to Tokyo or stuff like that? Here it's just using movement points to move. But with the right, but if I move with a one movement point with a motorcycle, it lets me move 5 spaces. With the van being weighed down by the trailer, it only lets me move 2 spaces. So, I could spend my whole turn just moving from one place to another. And then on top of that, we're also not the hugest fans of roll to resolve. I think that was the final nail in the coffin for us, because it does still come down to rolling dice. No matter how well you've gotten the right stuff in the right place, you can still just have terrible rolls. Now, you can mitigate those dice rolls with resources and stuff like that. It's a good game. It's a really sharp design. Just didn't work for me and Jen. So it comes in at number 14. Phew. Then we move on to number 13 of the month, Galileo's Trust. Now, this is one I'm not going to spend much time on because I've already done a full run through. You can go check it out. This is from the people that brought you Darwin's Journey. The publisher and designers who did that. They are now bringing us a game talking about Galileo and his contemporaries in their search for truth in the face of religious dogma, putting their lives in jeopardy, with the Inquisition and all of that. And the game is fantastic. I like it a lot. You can go watch my run through to see why. The only thing that keeps it from being higher on this list is it's a little bit longer. These days, Jen and I tend to enjoy quicker games. And this is a quick game. And, it's probably not as long as Darwin's Journey, but it is still a little bit on the longer side. Again, go check out my run through, and you can hear my final thoughts, and I'll go into a lot more depth about everything I love about this game. It's a deck building game, and it is a crunchy, deep deck building game. So much more so than most other deck building games out there, and it does a lot of really smart, clever deck building stuff. But I'm just looking for shorter games these days. That's my one big negative, which puts Galileo's Trust at number 13, which again is pretty high this month, all things considered. But anyway, then let's move on to number 12, Millennia, Tracks of Time. Another game I've already covered, so I won't go into too much detail on it here because my throat's going. You can go watch my run through. It's a brilliant, this could be one of the greatest civilization building games of all time. It is up there with Nations. It is up there with Tapestry. It is also up there in terms of length. I believe personally this game is longer than Nations. I personally think this game is longer than the short version of Through the Ages. And that's long, folks. And that's my only complaint about the game, because everything else I love about this game. Now, here's the deal. After I put up my run-through, just between you and me, the publisher, the designer of the game, contacted me, or maybe it was publisher, I don't remember. But it said, hey, we've been thinking about coming up with an express variant, the same way Through the Ages has a faster way to play. What do you think of this? And I said, chef's kiss, that would be beautiful. If that had been in the box, there's no two ways this wouldn't have made it into my top 5 of the month, because the gameplay is that great. It's a 3+ hour game for me and Jen. That's too long. Don't get me wrong. Jen and I still love every second of it. But I'm ranking games based on how likely I am to play, and I am more likely to keep a game that plays faster than a game that is longer. And so Millennia Tracks of Time comes in at number 12. But I might be holding on to this game anyway, folks. We're getting into the realm of games where I'm now having to decide whether I'm going to keep them or not. You know, in every month I do the roundup, there's going to be a threshold where, okay, I was in games I'm definitely not keeping. Then I was into the games that I might keep, I might not. Then I get into the games I'm likely to keep. Then I get to the games, the top of the list. I am now crossing the threshold from the might keep it into the probably keeping it. And I hope to try the sped up rules that they are testing out and experimenting and thinking about over at the publisher's house. And if this game can be sped up a little bit, oh, it's so good. But if you want to know more, go watch my run through. It's already there for you. But as it is, Millennia comes in at number 12. Then we go to a number 11, The Four Doors. And I do not have a run through for this, so I'm relying on the Board Game Barrister channel. They had a very nice little how to play, very quick, just teaching the rules, I think in like 8 minutes, did a good job. But anyway, what is this game? This is from designer Matt Leacock, Mr. Pandemic, teaming up with Ben Pinchback and Matt Riddle, or maybe was it Matt Riddle and Ben Pinchback? I think that's what it is. Sorry, Ben and Matt, but that's a great triple combo team. And here's the deal, folks. This is Pandemic in a deck of cards. This game is just a deck of cards and some player pawns, and yet it captures the sweep and scope of Pandemic. Playing in half of the time of Pandemic, playing in an incredibly small footprint. If you ever need Pandemic in restaurant form, a game you'll just bust out and you'll get done after you place your order, but before your food comes, you can get a full game of Four Doors played, and it'll fit on your restaurant table, and it's a super satisfying game, and it's great. And what is it though? We're traveling through a mystical tower where corruption is pouring in on every floor of the tower, and we're fighting back the corruption, trying to find artifacts to get ancient, trying to collect pieces of artifact to rebuild the artifacts so we can take it to the top of the tower and save the world from the, it's kind of abstract. It's much more abstract, I must admit, than Pandemic is. But Pandemic style, you get action points. This one is 3 instead of 4, and your actions are either move from one place to the next, play cards from your hands to push back the threat of the corruption that's coming, or collect cards. I might have to spend a couple of these yellow cards to stop the yellow floor where the corruption is about to explode. But if I don't, if I get these yellow cards to you, then you'll have enough yellow cards to collect the yellow artifact. And once we've got all 4 artifacts, which are powerful tools in and of themselves, and we all have our own special powers, so that's the tough choice. It's kind of like a lighter version of Pandemic where I have those tough choices of how do I get to you to give you these cards, but I don't want to give these cards because I need these cards to solve the problems, because a door might close, and if a door closes, the tower gets shorter, and we're running out of time to complete and win the game. Does all that great Pandemic stuff with just a deck of cards in half the time, and it's phenomenal. I'm super impressed by this game, and generally liked it too. Like I said, it's a little more abstract than I'd like. I wish the theme came through a little bit stronger, but it's so brilliant that it does so much with just a deck of cards. It has the the escalating tension where the beginning of the game feels like we got all the time in the world, but as time runs out and more doors close and cards are perpetually being taken permanently out of the deck, Oh, because I forgot to mention, there are spell cards that break the rules, like the event cards do in Pandemic. But if you use those cards, they are permanently removed from the deck, so you cannot use them to do the main things you need to do. And so you're going to make the deck smaller, which is going to ramp up the game and speed things up and make you run out the clock that much faster. But hey, I need to use this power right now because I need to get to you so I can give you this card so you can find this other artifact. So it's full of those kind of things. It's a miracle of design. So much squeezed into such a tiny little footprint. I really like it a lot. I wish it was a bit more thematic. And I wish it was... It is also a pick up and deliver game. Which Pandemic is to a certain extent as well, but this one is a little bit more. That's what kept it out of the top 10. But any other month, this would be pushing its way into my top 5. This is a really brilliant design. It does so much with so little. Ben, Matt, you've performed a design miracle with number 11 of the month, the Four Doors. I go on to number 10 of the month, Kilia. And now, I do not have a run through of this yet, but Ludovox does, so I've got their video on screen. You can go check out the game, and you might need to because I'm not going to spend much time here because I will be filming this in December. My voters have already chosen. They want me to film a run through of this, so you will get to see this excellent little economic multi-use card simulation in action on my channel in December. Both Jen and I thought it was phenomenal. It does multi-use cards in a really, really fun way. And watch this space, folks. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you'll get notification, and ring that bell and all that, when the Kilia video goes up. Suffice to say, I'm telling you right now, it's number 10 of the month, and it's great. And you'll get to see why when I put my run-through up after I've filmed it, once I've gotten back home, because the voters have chosen it. So that's number 10. Number 9, Arigato, is the exact same thing as number 10. It is a multi-use card drafting game, and it does close-hand card drafting in a really brilliant way that is eons beyond Seven Wonders or, Sushi Go or something like that. It's got a really, if you like anime aesthetic, it's got a great anime aesthetic. It's all about, again, my voters have chosen it. I will be doing a run-through when I get back home. So you will see the run-through of this game soon. This one, is it going to make it into my top 10 for 2025? I'm not sure. This is one that I think could. We're getting up into the upper echelons of stuff. It's a sharp game, Jen. I definitely want to play it some more. I look forward to filming it. In the meantime, you can go check out the video from Ludonaut, because all I've got on screen right now is a quick looping video that teaches you how to play the game in like 5 minutes and shows you what it looks like. But you'll get to see it in action on my channel in December. You won't want to miss it, folks. If you like card drafting, if you like recipe fulfillment, if you like tension-filled games that are super duper fast, this game has a lot going for it. Number 9, Arigato. Sadly, from publisher Ludonaut, which this is one of the final 2 games that Ludonaut is ever going to publish, and that's a real shame because it's freaking brilliant. Okay, let's move on then to number 8, Movie Fight. And thank you, Board Game James, for doing another great playthrough. I think he did a 3-player run-through of this. 2025. Who knew this year was going to give me 3 wonderful games on a theme I did not know I wanted so bad, the movie business. I mean, heck, I guess I'm not surprised. Role Player, another game about the movie business, in my top 10 games of all time. And this is not in my top 10 games of all time. But between this and Popcorn and Movie Tricks, I got 3 excellent silver screen games. And Movie Fight is a wonderful one. This is a card drafting game. Every turn you're going to grab one of the 3 cards that are out there. You're going to play it to your movie theater. If you play it to, and basically every card you play is 4 cards in one. I grab a card. If I play it to the right of my movie theater in one of my 2 screens, that represents a movie I'll be playing on that screen. If I play it to the left of my theater on one of my 2 movie theaters, that represents a customer who is coming to watch that movie. If I put it to the left, it becomes an objective card I'm trying to fulfill. If I put it to the right, it becomes the means by which I fulfill objectives. And that's the crux of it. And each of the card, whether I put it to the left or the right, it instantly becomes a new customer or a new movie. But later on, it can be upgraded and it can become a second movie that plays, or it can become a second customer, depending on whether I played it to the left or right. So that's what I'm saying about how it's really 4 cards in one that I have to decide where to put it. And every round, that is a tough choice because I can see what cards are out there. I can be making plans. I can be trying to get the right combination of stuff. It's a sharp, fun little puzzle. Plays super fast. Really clever. Another one of these games that just impresses me with how it does so much with so little. If you want to see it in action, go check out Board Game James's run through. Link down in the show notes. But in a month with a lot of really amazing titles, Movie Fight is up near the top. Movie Fight, my number 8. Then we move on to number 7 of the month, Pyradice. Oh, folks, Jen loves this game so much. And I like it a lot too, even if it is a little bit on the abstract side. In a nutshell, what is this game about? And wait, who did I find a video? Oh, no. I filmed, I do have a video. You're looking at me and Jen playing this. This is one of the videos I mentioned right up front that people got to see as an exclusive for back in the show. Me and Jen playing this. Basically, sorry, oh my gosh. The coughing is getting worse. I'm trying to stifle the urge, but I'm running out of bullion. And it's getting cold. Cold bullion is not working great. That was a subtle hint. Jen is getting up. She's going to give me some more bullion. She loves me. Oh, I feel loved. Thanks, honey pie. Oh my gosh, this is getting rough. All right, anyway, where was I? Pyradice. There is a real three-dimensional pyramid of dice. You know, a base and then more dice laid on top and Borealis laid on top. And on your turn, you're going to grab a die that's on the outskirts that is 3 edges exposed. So, you know, you're limited to the stuff that's on the edges. But you're going to take a die, you care about its value, you care about its color, and you're going to put it on your little 2-dimensional pyramid that you're trying to build up. And the game is over once everybody has completed their pyramids. Now, these pyramids are randomly created with a wonderful collection of, on the right side, it says what different objectives we have for our base floor and our next floor and our next floor. So we've got goals for if I'm trying to get the right types of dice on the right floors. But we also randomly selected on the left side of the pyramid what special powers we unlock every time we put a die on the base floor or the next floor or the next floor. And then also, as part of setup, we drew 4 cards, one for each color of die, that says, oh, the brown dice are going to score different than the red dice. So every die we grab has so much to consider, you know, with what floor we're putting on, what power we're activating, what floor objective we're trying to complete, but also what color objective we're trying to complete. So it is excellent. It is a wonderful smorgasbord of decisions. And then on top of it, it's just wonderful to have this cool little 3D pyramid that we're drafting from to build our little 2D pyramids. Everything about this game is phenomenal. I think this is going to be one of Jen's best games of the year. And while I don't rank it quite as much as her because it is still an abstract game, this game as an abstract is ranking so high for me this month, because I don't go for abstract games, but there's no denying how brilliant the fun factor in so many ways is for Pyradice, or number 7 of the month. Then we go on to number 6 of the month, Dragonarium, which is a game I got to take a sponsored look at this year. And I gotta say, folks, I am very, very impressed. You know how much I love tile laying, and this one I think really stands out for a bunch of reasons. First of all, we are people tasked with trying to raise the next generation of dragons by hatching dragon eggs. And every turn, what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab a domino tile that generally features 2 different environments, landscapes on it. And
place it somewhere in our very, very tiny, tight little player board. And this is a tile layer where you are spreading out, filling up space, but also building upwards, which I'm always a huge fan of. And this one does it in a few interesting ways. First of all, while the space is very, very tight, the game gives you so much more freedom and flexibility to stack tiles on top of each other. A lot of times with these kinds of games, you have to spread them across multiple tiles, but here you're not restricted that way at all. You could even cover only one half of a tile and have the other end hanging off in space, because one of the common resources you can pick up in this game are these pillars, little hollow tiles that you can place down to basically be a shunt to hold up the dominoes as you build upwards. This game makes it so much more fun to be able to find the best ways to build upwards and expand the different territories, because as you're laying these tiles out, you're trying to make the biggest contiguous area of, the fiery areas, the red areas, the blue areas, the green areas, and the golden areas, right? Because the bigger they are, the better they're going to score. The kind of stuff we've seen before. But here's the interesting thing. There's one big restriction that will prevent you from being able to put a new tile on top of an old tile. If there is a dragon egg on the old tile, you can't put a new tile on top of it until the egg is ready to hatch. And that's the whole second half of this game. Because on your turn, once you put a tile down, and expanded out or built up or whatever, you then have to pick one of the three main terrain types. The red, the blue, or the green, the earth, the sky, and the fire, I guess. Or the water, the sky, and the fire. And however your biggest contiguous group of that color is, that's how many spaces you move your assistant clockwise around the outside of the board. It's almost kind of like, feels sort of Mancala-ish, because for, say I pick red, that means my biggest area of red is 4. I've got a little 4x4 section of red somewhere. That means I'm gonna move it 4 steps clockwise, and every new column or row that this assistant moves adjacent to, I get to put a red crystal anywhere I want inside that row or column. So I'm kind of seeding these crystals as I clockwise rotate around the board. So I want to get to the other side of the board really fast. Oh, I should pick my blue color because I've got like a big size 7, and I'll be able to move 7 steps to get where I need to go. But that means I get 7 opportunities to place blue crystals. And what if I haven't set myself up for that? What if I don't have, blue spots that have openings? Because the thing is, once you have filled all the crystal needs of a given square, that's when you are allowed to put a new tile on top of it. And when you put that new tile on top of it, a dragon is born. In the same colors, green, red, blue, and golden, royal golden dragons. And once you birth that dragon, you don't necessarily have to put it on the tile you just placed. You have a lot of flexibility. But the thing is, these dragons, they expand the scope of your space, because say I just was able to birth, hatch a red dragon, so I could put this red dragon down. What I want to do is put this red dragon on some non-red space, because if I put it over in my blue lake area, that blue space that I put it on is now considered to be both blue and red. So it can continue to expand my blue area, because remember, I'm trying to get my biggest red area, my biggest blue area, my biggest green area, and it can also allow my red area, my red mountain area that's right next to that lake, to expand into the lake. So getting these dragons out are very powerful to make your contiguous, same colored areas bigger and bigger and higher scoring. But the big problem is, once I put a dragon down, I can never put anything else on that space. So the more dragons you place as you hatch, as you're expanding, the harder it is to be able to put new tiles down, because you have to kind of squeeze them in around all these dragons that are taking up all this space. But these dragons are incredibly important because they increase the point scoring potential. Plus, they can be worth points themselves in the case of golden dragons. So what starts out as a really, really tight constricted puzzle that opens up because it's so easy to build upwards in this game, then tightens up again. The more successful you are, the harder it is to deal with your success. And while all of this is going on, all this tile laying, there's also this second kind of rondel mandala style game where every turn you seed all these crystals, again, based on the way you've already built. You're building towards big areas for the end game, but you're building towards them throughout the game, because the bigger the green area you choose, the more green crystals you can put out. But what if the assistant is in a place where you don't want to put green crystals right now? Then you're wasting them. So you should choose your red, but your red is only going to let the assistant move 2, and there's never going to get to the other side where you really need them to put a blue. There are puzzles within puzzles going on in this game, and it is so satisfying to play. It's incredibly fast. This is like a 20-minute game for me and Jen. And it is super satisfying from start to finish. And if all that weren't enough, what you're seeing on screen is me doing a solo gameplay. The solo rules are great on just the standard board where everybody has the same rules, but you flip those boards over and you have asymmetric boards where you have radically different extra rules that give everybody a special boost. Like the dragons will breed on their own on one of them, and on another one there are special shrines that give you more control over where you place the crystals. And oh, what were the other ones? Oh, one where you can turn those pillars that let you build up. If you have those pillars and you don't need them, you can convert them into gems. So you have multi-use items and stuff like that. So every time you play, you're going to get a unique puzzle as the tiles come out that you need to be able to expand your horizons. But then when you're playing on unique boards too, that really ups the replay value tremendously. Both Jen and I love tile laying games. And while this looks like kind of just a little abstract Azulish type thing, the theme really comes to life because of those little attentions to detail. You cannot squash a dragon egg. You have to feed it and prepare it and give it everything it needs. And then when it hatches and the dragon shows up, you've got to work around that dragon, because the dragon's not going to be turfed out as you continue to try to build higher and higher. It feels much more thematic than most games of its ilk. It feels more thematic than a Calico or something like that, but it has that same great puzzly gameplay that Jen and I absolutely adore. And again, tons of replayability with all the extra stuff. I believe there's actually going to be an extra board if you check out the crowdfunding page. There'll be a link for that down in the show notes if you want to learn more about this game. Anyway, like I said, Jen and I were very, very impressed with Dragonarium, which is crowdfunding right now.
And now let's move on to number 5 of the month. Now that I've got some more bullion, oh my goodness. I did not know I was a bullion fan, folks, but I swear this has got to be one of the worst colds I've ever had in my life. And you can feel it. You can hear my voice, right? The bullion, it's like my Popeye spinach. I'm rejuvenated. I'm going to make it to the end. So I'm going to tell you about number 5, Wispwood. This was a hot, hot game at Essen Spiel, and with good reason. This is the best new game from publisher CGE in frickin' years. So, at the very least, since Lost Ruins of Arnak, and it is so good. And I say that as somebody who's not necessarily a fan of more abstract tilers, and it's fairly abstract, but oh, this is great. What was it about? Well, basically, we're exploring a Wispwood forest, trying to meet the needs of the wisps. And the way it works is on your turn, there's a circle of wisp tiles. And I figure there's like 5 different colors of them, and each one of them scores in a unique way that you're trying to get them laid out, arrayed, adjacent to things, or not next to things, or whatever in the forest, right? So I want more blues. I want more blue wisps, and I can see, oh, there's a blue wisp. If I take that off the drafting board to the left and the right of the blue wisp, or the pink wisp, or whatever one I choose, there are polyomino shapes, like, you know, the L from Tetris, or a 2x2 square, or whatever it might be, or a 1x2, a simple thing. And there's one to the left and the right. I grab this pink wisp because I want another pink wisp, because I'm building a strategy out of scoring them. And so now, because I chose that one, I've either got to do the L shape or the 1x2. And what I'm going to do is, that wisp is going to be part of a collection of tiles that I add to my little forest. That might be a 4x4, or it might be a 5x5, or it might be a 6x6 grid I'm trying to build. As the game goes on, the forest gets bigger and bigger. And the thing is, though, I'm going to grab a bunch of additional tiles that I've just grabbed from the draw pile face down, and I am going to make that Tetris shape, that S shape or the L shape or whatever it is, and I am going to put that little pink wisp in any of the 4 spaces I want, and then I am going to add it to my grid, and I'm going to try to add it so that it joins its other little fellow wisp, or whatever it is I'm trying to do. So I don't remember all the ways the different wisps score, but the important thing is you're trying to grab them and make them score. By building polyomino shapes, and that is so cool. But what happens is, at the beginning of the game, I'm just trying to make a 4x4, and once one player has successfully made the 4x4, everybody scores their 4x4. And then we all have our forests. But what we do is all the tiles that were face down, that were like, the fillers of when we were building those polyomino tiles, those get pulled away. And now all of a sudden we've just got a bunch of these little wisps, the pinks and the greens and the blue wisps, just kind of floating in space. And now I've got to rebuild my forest, but now it's a 5x5. And I go back to that core idea of trying to grab the right wisp, grab the right polyomino pieces, and I've got to slot them in and fit them in this like minefield of previous wisps that I have made, because I was trying to do other stuff, and now I'm trying to do it again, but I'm trying to make different shapes or whatnot. And then ultimately we score a second time, and then we've got to make a 6x6 grid. But now there are so many wisps. James, I assume you were able to jump forward and see, oh, look at the 4x4 look versus the 6x6, and how the puzzle just gets tougher and more challenging. But it's a puzzle I created for myself. It's so good. Oh my gosh, this is such a clever game. And it's pretty. And it's charming, because every time you play, you're going to, the pink or the green or the blue wisp is going to score in a new way, because, what do you call it? Tiny Town style. Every time you play, you're going to draw a collection of objective cards that is going to make them score differently. It's brilliant. Everything about this game is great. Jen loved it. I loved it. I don't like abstract games, but I loved it. So it comes in at number 5, one of the highest ranked games. And we are now definitely into the must-have, must-keep games this month. Wispwood. Wow. Then we go on to number 4, Countryside. Now, this, I have not done a run-through for it. So thank you, Crimson Board Games, a channel I was not aware of, but when I was searching for somebody who had actually covered it, I came across her channel, and man, she did a great little run through, and I am a subscriber now, and I suggest you folks go, if you haven't discovered Crimson Board Games, by all means go do. Link down in the show notes along with everything else I'm talking about today. But what is Countryside? Well, I was interested in this. I picked this up at Essen Spiel for 2 reasons. The publisher, Nanox Games, that is knocked out of the park twice, as far as I'm concerned, with Evenfall and Cloud Age, 2 amazing, super crunchy Euros. Really heavy-duty games. And I thought, oh, this is going to be a lighter game from them. It's a farming simulation with wonderful, bucolic, hand-sketched art. Oh, it looks beautiful. The game is so sweet and charming looking. And again, Nanox has had 2 previous games that I thought were phenomenal. So I wanted to see what their 3rd big game is. And it's, I should say, well, it's my number 4, folks. It's phenomenal. The other thing that really drew me in, besides the look of the game, so 3 things, I guess, was designer Peter Prinz, who is an OG, board game designer from 20 plus years ago. I mean, he exploded with one of the all-time great games, Thebes. If you never played Thebes, you owe it to yourself to try it out. And, and Peter, he done some other stuff back in the day, but he went into hibernation for years. But more recently, a couple of years ago, he put out a new design for the first time in a long time called Comet, that both Jen and I were very impressed by. You can find it on my channel. I covered it in a previous roundup, and I think I turned that into a rapid review. Comet, both Jen and I were super impressed by. So Peter Prinz is back, baby! And working with Nanox, a hot, up-and-coming publisher, I want to see what they've come together with. And Countryside is a freaking phenomenal. Yes, I know, it's a farm building simulation. And maybe you're sick and tired of that. I am not. Jen loves the subject matter. I do too. Hey, this time my farm is going to be all about chickens and donkeys. This time I'm going to be really focusing on grains, or I'm really going to be focusing on my, the employees I get or whatever. But here's how the game works. We're going to draft a card and play a card. And at the beginning of the game, you have 3. There's different types of cards. There's 2 types of cards. There's location cards, or area cards, and there are element cards, elements of your farms and the locations of your farms. if you get more locations, whether they're barns or fields or pastures or whatever, or houses, those become places that you can play element cards to. And each one of your locations has an objective to score. And so once you've played in a location card, you've got, okay, I want to play the right types of cards here, and you can only play so many. Most cards, you can only play 3 cards, sometimes 2, sometimes 4. But now that means, okay, I'm going to ultimately try and play all 3 cards here so I can get the most out of this location, but I've got to get this combination of cards played here. And that's where the other types of cards, the elements that we are drafting for, come in. And, so I can see all the different elements that are different crops you can grow, different animals, different employees you could hire, stuff like that. And so I'm trying to get the right employees, trying to put them in the right places. But I'm doing all of this through worker placement. At the beginning of the game, I've got a few worker placement action. I've got 4 workers. And so I send my worker out to say, hey, I'm going to play a level 3 card someplace, but I can sacrifice more cards to increase that. Or I'm going to play a level 5 card, but I can't do anything else. Or I'm going to play a level 3 and a level 2 card, or whatever it might be. Because, the cards are, this card requires 6 sunshine. And so I need to have and I don't have a way I can play a 6, but I can do my worker placement for the level 5 sunshine card, and then I can spend money. The most valuable thing in this game is coins that you can spend as sunshine to say, oh, well, okay, I did as a level 3. I didn't have any cards to sacrifice, but I paid 3 coins so I could play this level 3. I could play this level 6 by doing my level 3 action or whatever it might be. Right? And so I play the card where it needs to go to. I need to get more cards played. Every element card you play does something immediately, and then it's done. Unless you can find a way to activate it again. And there are so many ways to get multiple repeat activations out of existing cards you previously played. That's a big part of the puzzle. Most of these cards let you grow stuff. And so, like if I play a cattle card, that means what I do is I take one of my basket tokens, and I have 15. This is a hard limit. This is the most important thing about this game. Everybody has a hard limit of 15 tokens. These tokens can either be face-up coins, which means I can spend them to play more cards with more variety and more flexibility, or they're face down, which means they're baskets. And when I play a card that says, hey, get some more cows or some more grain or some more green beans or some more carrots or whatever it might be, I take a basket and I put it on the element card, and now that represents a resource that I could sell at market to make more coins. This is a way I can convert empty baskets into coins. This 1-2 thing, because eventually I'm going to play my 4 workers. And then I'm going to have to spend a turn recalling all those workers, Concordia style. And that's when you do a market action. You can, depending on how many workers you played, you can do 1 or more market actions. And one of the most important market actions is take those baskets that I put on cards and sell them. Sell my cattle, sell my green beans, whatever, and convert them into coins so I can play more cards later. But there are a lot of other things I can do besides, like activate already existing cards, or get more area cards, because all my areas are full up. I need more areas to be able to play more stuff. And then eventually my workers come back and I can repeat it again. That's the crux of the game. But like I mentioned, the biggest thing about this game is you can have no more than 15 tokens. And here's what will happen. You will, hey, you know what? I'm going to do a market action that says I can activate that particular card because that card lets me activate these 5 other cards, right? You can start building cool engine building combo chains that you can then activate on your market turns. But, so that's great. I just made 5 more cattle, right? That means I've got to have 5 baskets. But I've already got baskets spread all over the place because I'm trying to get the right combination of baskets, because to complete this objective, I have to have 5 unique things. So I'm trying to get 5 unique basket styles. But meanwhile, I've got 4 coins because I'm trying to save up to have 6 coins as well. So I don't have very many baskets left because my baskets are either lying fallow waiting, or they're coins, which means I've got to find a way to use them, or they're already out there, which means I've got to find a way to sell them. It's basically each player is their own little closed economy loop, because you can build an incredibly powerful engine in this game that will let you pull off huge mega turns, but it doesn't do you any good if that would stretch your little farm past its breaking point, because you just can't manage all these logistics because you don't have more than 15 tokens. So finding the right time to sell, finding the right time to trigger those big bonus turns, trying the right time to turn them into money so you can play other cards, so you can diversify and have different engines you're building. This game has so much going on. It was so much more than I thought. It looks like a charming little gateway family game from the art, from the cute pastoral bucolic art, but this is this is one of the best engine building games I have played this year. It is very likely going to make it into my top 10 games of the year. It is that good. Nanox, that is 3 for 3. Evenfall was amazing. Before that, Cloud Age was amazing. And now, Countryside is freaking amazing. Congratulations, Peter Prinz. You are proving why you are one of the OG all-time great designers with another wonderful thing that Jen and I both absolutely fell in love with. Number 4. Countryside. Now I got to talk about number 3, Rising Cultures. And I have not done a run through for it yet. So I'm putting up a video from Board Game Nerds. They did a really nice this is a 2-player only head-to-head civilization game that you can play in a half an hour. Remember how earlier in this thing I was talking about, man, these great civilization games, why do they have to be 3 hours long? Well, how about 30 minutes? Play Rising Cultures. But here's the deal. I'm not going to go deep into what makes this game so special because this is another one that I'm going to be filming because the voters. This is actually going to be if my voice can hold, I'm going to try and film this tomorrow. So you should see a run through of this next week from me. This is going to be the last game I film while I'm on the road. I'm just waiting until my throat can recover. And this Boolean, it's getting me through, folks. So you'll see a run through of Rising Cultures, another very likely top 10 game of the year candidate for me personally. In the meantime, you can go check out Board Game Nerds. My number 3 of the month is Rising Cultures. My number 2 of the month is Druids of Edora. It's classic Feld, making a comeback. It's another top 10 candidate for the year, and I've already done a run through. You can go watch my final thoughts for this already. So I'm not going to belabor it, folks, because I've been talking way too freaking long. My voice. Oh, I need to rest my throat so I can film Rising Cultures tomorrow. So, number 2 is Druids of Edora. Link in the show notes. Go watch my full run through of it. See why it's so great. Number 1, Furnace Duel. A game that will not be coming out until 2026. Will very likely make it into my top 10 games of 2026. Why? Again, go watch my run through. I've already filmed it. I spent time on the stuff I'm likely not going to film. It's great. This is a 2-player only version of Furnace, one of the greatest auction games of all time, and this makes Furnace even better. I have done a run through for it, haven't I? I feel like I have. I'm pretty sure I have. There's a link for it down in the show notes. You're looking at it on screen right now, right, folks? Anyway, that is it. I am done. I am exhausted. So I am just going to upload this video while I enjoy the view outside the window. It looks like we're getting pretty close to another phenomenal sunset here at whatever the name of this town is. Ferox, Rocks. It has 2 R's and ends with OX. Terox? Torox. Torox, Spain, where Jen and I have decided to hunker down for the last week of our epic 3-month road trip because we're still recovering. And honestly, this video I just did for you folks did not help me recover, but I am done. And so I'm just going to say click one of the boxes on screen now and go enjoy some more Rahdo content. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later so long. Bye-bye. Bye. Bye-bye.